talk to you.
Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. It's Haja Scott, and I am live. What's up, everybody? Happy holidays. Happy holidays. I don't know what everybody's doing, but as you can see, I'm trying to remain in the holiday spirit. So, she has on her candy cane dress today, so trying to be festive, but y'all know me, like you just never know what you're gonna get out of me. Like I just may one day wear some holiday, and the next it's like, no thank you, she doesn't do that. So but I just want to say happy Thursday. I hope everybody's doing well, y'all. It's almost Christmas, but before we get into that, I have a little something that's been stirring, and so it's been stirring all month, to tell you the truth. And so it's time for me to release this, and we're still building. We are still building, and so I'm hoping that everybody, all my builders out there, everybody that's been getting the word, that's in their ear, we're building, or we're rebuilding. We're rebuilding something. God is rebuilding us. God is rebuilding something. He's putting something in our hands. He's putting our hands to some work. We're asked to do something. We are in building season, and it's all different levels. It doesn't matter what it looks like for you. It doesn't matter what it looks like for me. All we know is that we are called to build. There is something that our hands are supposed to touch. There's something that our hearts are supposed to touch. There's something that we're supposed to be engaged in. There is some learning. There is some growing. There is some building that's going on in our lives. And so what it looks like for us, what it looks like for me is what it looks like for me. What it looks like for you is what it looks like for you. But you've got to figure that part out. So but I am talking to my builders, so without further ado, let's talk about this building thing. Because if anybody watched the video that I did last time, earlier this month, about just building, like, oh my gosh, we're building, what does this thing look like, what's going to happen? We were in the story of Nehemiah in the Bible, and so we were using that as our guide, and God was speaking to me even then, but it seemed like I had to go through a little bit more this month about who are you building with. Okay, you're building, like if we're watching this and we're engaged in this and we're ready to hear about what's next, that means we are building. That means that we are engaged in building and rebuilding. We're in this thing, so this is for our ears, as the Bible says, whoever has an ear to hear, let him hear. So we're building, but now we need to talk about who we are building with. So we're going to take a step forward, and I'm giving some tips on what God has been telling me. Pretty much, like I said, this lesson has been going all month for me, all month, lesson after lesson, tip after tip, reminder after reminder. Who are you building with, Haja? Who are you building with? It's so important because it could make or break what you're set to do. It can make or break your assignment. Who are you taking with you on this journey? And so God is asking us that. So we are going to go back to the book of Nehemiah for this, because his story, he's a builder, and so he's guiding us. His story is guiding us through this process, and at least in what I have received and what has really been speaking to me is his story, what he encountered in building, and how he had to keep going through it. He had to persevere through his building season. And I think that is the reminder that God wants to get to us. These things are going to happen, but we have got to persevere so that we can get to the end, so that we can get through this building, so that we can get to the beauty, so that we can accomplish what is set to be accomplished. So we're going to go back to Nehemiah, and we're in chapter 2. So just a little recap for all of those who may have missed the first one. So Nehemiah has been sent to not sent, he has been, I want to say commissioned, but he's really compelled. Like, God, the Spirit of God compelled him to go back and rebuild his hometown. He had the walls of his hometown, Jerusalem, which had been in ruins. They had been in captivity for many years, and now they finally are back in their old spot, in the old city, in the old place. But it's in ruins. Like nobody can even live. It's not livable, and somebody has to lead the mission. And so Nehemiah was compelled to go back and lead the mission. Now he has a job. So all while he's got this information going on, he's finding out about what's happening in Jerusalem and asking questions. Well, who's this and who's back? Who came back? Who didn't come back? How's his family? How's that? So he's asking questions. The work is already being done. You guys, this is some of the groundwork that's being laid. He's mulling over. He's thinking over. He's thinking over all of these things. I'm sorry, my little notes thing. I'm like, what happened to my notes? They just went away. But either way, I keep going. So he's thinking about all these things. He's thinking about how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? Who's there? Who's there to help me? What does it look like? What does terrain look like? So he's like planning all this stuff before his feet even hit the ground. He's like moving. Like the planning has already begun. That's how it is for most builders. You don't just show up on the lot, on the construction site and say, okay, now I'm ready to build. No, you've done the work. Remember we talked about last time, who sets out to build without counting the cost? You know what it's going to take for you to do this job. And so that is what they are doing. That's what he is doing in the beginning of this thing. So he talks to the king. The king is his boss. He works for the palace. And he basically tells him, look, I want to go back and rebuild my town, my hometown. And the king, says, yeah, sure. What do you need? What do you need? Nehemiah was ready. He told him exactly what I needed. I'm going back on rebuilding. I need this much lumber. I need this much cement. I need this much nails. I need, whatever he needed. He knew because he was doing the groundwork beforehand. And that's what all of us should be doing. So if you're in that stage when you're just being called for something, compelled to something, your heart is going out to something, that there's things that you just want to accomplish, or there's something that is you have a passion for, and you feel like this is something you're going to move into. Do the groundwork, do your work behind the scenes, count your costs up. Literally count your costs up, add them up, but then also count your cost. Who's there? What's around? What's needed? Go through, survey. I'm a builder in a lot of different ways. You're building a business plan. That's like building a business plan. And so do the groundwork. He did that. He told the king what he needed, and the king accepted. He made the decree. He said, all right, you're going to get what you have set everything out. Are you good with that? Nehemiah has now agreed. He said yes. So he's heading home. He's heading home. His building site. He's heading home. Now here's the thing. Before he picks up one stone, like he just started walking. He just started going to where he's going. Before he picks up one stone, before he picks up one piece of lumber, before he has the time to tell his friends, hey, what's up? I'm on my way home. Hey, your girl's gonna be in town. Da, 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 da. Like before he could do any of that, they already knew. TMZ, whoever, GMA, our nightly, who is it? Trevor Noah, like whoever, like it's already hit the scene. Like Nehemiah's coming back, and he's trying to rebuild this wall. And so again, he's none the wiser. God has gone before him. God's doing whatever. But I just want you to know the things that are going on, because this is a spiritual thing. When you're building for God, this is a spiritual thing. Know that. Don't be dismayed. Don't walk into this thing thinking, everybody's going to be for me. Yes, we hope, honey, but be prepared. Because there are just some things and some people who are just not for the things that are going on in your life or for what you're doing. And you can't control what everybody feels, and we cannot let that hinder us. So Nehemiah is walking, honey, and he accepted the call. King gave the decree. It's official. He's doing this. Nehemiah's doing this. Then he delivered the decree to the people who were supposed to be, I want to say helper, but they were the suppliers for whatever he was building. So now he's aligned himself. He's positioned himself. He put himself out there. That's another thing. Sometimes we're not ready to put ourselves out there. we are not ready to say, yeah, this is the thing that I'm doing. I don't want everybody in my business, or, they're not going to understand. I don't have a lot of supporters anyway, so I just kind of like to do things solo. At some point on this mission, you're going to have to put yourself out there, meaning you're going to have to let it be known. This is what I'm doing. I'm not hiding. I'm not, trying to act like I'm not what I am. This is what I'm doing. And let the chips fall where they may. So he's doing this thing. He's aligned himself. It's hit the spiritual airwaves. And the plan of resistance is now in play. The plan of resistance. Here's the plan of resistance. And it is in Nehemiah 2, 8 through 10. And basically what they're saying is, I had that already, but I turned to something else really quickly. But just to let you know, it hit the airwaves, and before he could do anything, before he could get to the town, before he could start, letting everybody know, gathering his team and everything, this thing had already gone through. So I'm not going to go through and read that right now just because I don't have it pulled up. I thought I did, but I don't. Oh, well, actually here it is. So, okay, Nehemiah 2, 8. So before, Ezra, help me, y'all, help me. What's going on today? Nehemiah. Okay. So 2 and 8, and the king granted them to me according to the good hand of God, of my God upon me, the decree. Then I went to the governors in the region beyond the river, and I gave them the king's letters. Now the king had sent captains of the army and horsemen with me. When Sanballat, the Horonite, and Tobiah, the Ammonite official, heard of it, they were deeply disturbed that a man had come to seek the well-being of the children of Israel. That's what I'm saying. You just don't know. Why would anybody be upset? Because someone came to seek the well-being of the children of Israel, the inhabitants of, Jerusalem. Why? But it is what it is sometimes. And so that's what I'm talking about. So the plan of resistance, just letting you know right there, the plan of resistance has already started. So let's talk about resistance. Resistance is a strategy of the enemy. Resistance is made to cause us to stop, to apply pressure, so that we could say, you know what, never mind. This is too hard. I don't want to do this. I didn't know that. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't know it was going to be this difficult. I just want to, you know what? I know I invested a lot. I know I said I was going to, but it's easier just to kind of bow out right now. That's what resistance is made to do. To stop you from your mission and to keep you away from the promise, which is rebuilding this thing, building whatever it is you're supposed to build. That's what resistance is there for. So as soon as we start walking, Nehemiah wasn't even out the gate good. He hadn't even made it to the town yet. He had just started walking, just started believing. I'm really going to do this. And resistance says, stop him before he gets started. So now that we know resistance is there and it's going to show up, here's our job. Our job is to see it for what it is. But God encourages us in that we know resistance is there to stop us. We know this is coming. You guys, even though you know you're going to be resisted in certain areas, it doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't. It really doesn't make this thing easier. Just know that. And also know that you're going to have to triumph through that. You're going to have to keep going through that. But this is just the heads up. So God is telling us, hey, the resistance is going to be there, but don't fret. We can use it. I can use it. God is saying, I can use this resistance for you. So let's think about that. Resistance, resistance, resistance. What comes to mind? Resistance training comes to mind. When you are resistance, when you're going through resistance training, what is that? You are going through a training program or training process, workouts, muscle building. These are all things to help us develop stamina, develop endurance, and develop strength. So God is saying the resistance is there. Honey, it's going to be there. It is coming. Do not walk into this thing thinking that it will not be here. Do not walk into this thing thinking you'll be the exception and you won't have to deal with this. If you are, all praises be, like for real, like if you don't have to deal with anything at all, like help me jump out of my shoes into your shoes. Like let me do what you're doing. But in the event that you are like the rest of us, you're going to be met with that. And so God is saying that same resistance that hits us, that's designed to take us out, I'm going to use that to build your stamina, your endurance, and your strength. God says, keep your focus on me. I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to show you how to use this resistance for your benefit. I'm going to use it again to strengthen, and I'm going to use it to develop you. So here's a couple of ways that God is going to do that with him doing that. Remember, we got to focus. He's saying, focus on me for this, because I'm the one that's going to help you go through. I'm like your trainer. Yeah, I'm your trainer. So when you're going through training, personal training, you got to have a trainer. And so that's what God is saying. I'm your trainer. I'm going to help you through this. I'm going to guide you through this. I'm going to help you develop. I'm going to help you build stamina, endurance. I'm going to help you. So in order to do that, you can't be out, focusing on somebody else that is not your trainer. You got to hear the words of your trainer. You've got to hear the instructions of your trainer. And so he says, keep your focus on me. And so I'm going to read a scripture that reminds us of that. And it is Isaiah 26:3. I will keep you, or God will keep us in perfect peace. Peace, him whose mind is stayed on you, God, because he trusts you. He's going to keep us in perfect peace. He's going to keep us focused and in peace through this turmoil and through this resistance, because we're keeping our minds stayed on him. We're not getting off focus. We're not looking into what's going on over there. Well, they just got a new car. Oh, yeah, with all this building going on, I can't afford a new car. God, they just moved and they got a new house. All this money I'm putting into this right now, or just, it isn't where it is, where it needs to be right now. I know it's coming, but it doesn't stop you from, man, I sure wish. All right, let me focus again one day. And then you're off. You look and somebody's talking about, oh yeah, that's what we're doing. We're going on vacation, honey. I'm using all my funds. I'm using all my extra time. I'm doing that. And you're like, but I'm building. God is saying, focus. Focus on me. That's what God is saying. The other thing he's saying is imaginations, our mind. This mind of ours. We're builders for a reason, because we're creative. But our minds have to stay focused on him. Meaning we can't go in off the deep end. We can't go into imaginations. We can't go into what if scenarios and all this other stuff. We don't have the luxury of staying on them, because those things are meant to take your mind and your focus off of what you're supposed to do. 2 Corinthians 10:5-7. It says, casting down arguments or imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. Everything that tries to be bigger than what God is saying. Everything that tries to take your focus and move it onto them or it. Everything that says, yeah, don't worry about that right now. You're worried about the wrong thing. Look at the world. everything's, going to hell right now. Why are you worried about building? Like, these are all things that are trying to distract and be bigger than what God is showing and telling and leading you on. And this is bringing every thought, everything that drops in your head as a thought, bring it under the captivity, under the submission of Christ, of God, of his teaching, of your trainer, on your trainer's instructions, of his word. So there we are. We talked about the resistance. Let me go back because, I just want to tell you that real quick because God was like, you got to keep focused, because if you don't keep focused, game over. Okay. So, but we're in focus now and we're like, okay, God, so the resistance is here, but it's in our perception. How are we going to handle this? How are we going to categorize what we see? We're bracing ourselves for we know what's coming. Now, the resistance is going to come 9 times out of 10 through people. That's why we're talking about who we're building with. It's going to come through people, whether they are aware of it or not. People bring resistance. It's not always them. It's just sometimes what they represent, but it is still resistance to you and to what you are building in this season. And so with our next step, our very first thing that we're going into is we pray. We pray for revelation. We're praying for revelation because this is a guarding for us. This is a guarding of our hearts. We're praying for God to show us, to not let us just go off on our own, to not run off on what we feel, to not what looks good, but God, give us our bumpers. Where's our parameters? Guard our hearts. And Proverbs 4:23, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. That's why God warns us. This is one of the reasons why. It's for building. But it determines the direction, the course of your life, your heart. So you've got to guard it. And you've got to guard it with God's guiding. So we're praying for revelation, and we're praying so that we can see, who are we building with? Who are those that are called? Who are the sheep? Who are the sheep in this scenario, and who are the wolves? God likes to do the whole sheep and wolves, it does the animal and agriculture thing, that was the time of the world, but the sheep, who are the people that are supposed to work with me? We're supposed to be herded together. We're on one accord. We're building the thing that we're set to build. We are doing the work. We're in one mind. We're in unity. We're on one accord. We're not agreeing on every little thing, okay? We are people, and we have our personalities. We have the way we like doing things. So this is not saying it because I disagree with everybody. Well, you're never going to work with anybody. We are going to disagree. That's not the point. Who are the sheep? Who are the called? Who are the ones that are united in this purpose? Who are the ones that are united for whatever the assignment is, or for whatever you're building, versus the wolves or the wolf? Say wolves. Because 9 times out of 10 it's not one. Who are those that are in there to distract, to destroy, to pull apart, to bring it to its demise? Who are the sheep from the wolves? And just know, no wolf shows up looking like a wolf. That's what makes this thing so difficult. And when God is saying, well, who are you building with? Everybody. Because everybody's in my circle, and everybody, we're on one accord, and everybody likes me. And I like everybody. And I can build with any and everybody. Wrong. There's some wolves in there. Now, they're dressed as sheep, so that's why you're saying that. But underneath, they're ravenous wolves. We're not talking about people, just talking about what they represent. Some of y'all like, no. We talking about people. They're wolves. I'm not gonna argue with you on that. But some of y'all like, no, I know her, and I dealt. She's a wolf. So I'm gonna let you and God handle that. But just know there's a difference. The second thing we're gonna do after we pray for revelation, sheep versus the wolves. Now we got to start asking God, because that's the spiritual part. Now we're looking in the natural. Now we're looking here, like in front of us, what's going on in front of our eyes. We got to start asking God, okay, deliver that answer. Who's in front of me? Who's here? This is how resistance, once again, helps us to kind of weed out. Helps us to weed out the sheep with the wolves. Resistance. It's going to help you distinguish in two ways. First way is I kind of already told you one way, but I'll just tell you this way. It's going to distinguish those that you know, those that have been there, those that, have been in your circle. They just might not be called to what you're doing right now. That's not always an easy thing. And so these are those that say, yes, I'm for you. Of course. I've been your friend. I've supported you in the past. We've done the thing together. We built other things together. Yeah, I'm your builder. Who are my builders? I'm your builder. Because I've been here. Let's see why. Sometimes you have built with somebody in a previous season. Sometimes you have been friends in a previous season. Sometimes you've been the closest in every other way and partnered in every other way. But for this mission, that person can't go along. Sometimes their actions will help us see. Their actions, without them even knowing sometimes, produce direct resistance against you. And sometimes it's not easy to spot, like I said, because these are people that are kind of always been there. But you got to open your eyes and see where we are right now. We're not talking about 10 years ago. We're not talking about 2 years ago. We're talking about right now. What are you doing now and what God is calling for you to do now? Pay attention now. What matters now? What does this thing look like now? Not yesterday. Because what you built yesterday was for then. Or maybe what you're walking in right now. But what you're building now is for tomorrow. We're laying foundations. We're doing the building now. So that when we look over there tomorrow, we've got an establishment. This thing is there. So that means now. What does your situation look like now? Sometimes these people, they make you doubt what God said, make you doubt what you're supposed to be doing, make you doubt the relevancy of this, relevancy of what you're doing, of this project. Is this even important? Why are you dedicating your life to this? Why are you spending time with this? You've always been good at this, so why are you doing that now? These are people that make you start doubting what you heard and what you've already started laying foundations on, what you already started building. Because remember, the building's already started. But now they're making you question and doubt. Sometimes they speak negatively against it. Girl, you know you're not going to make no money with that. But how much time you got to spend with that? Oh no. Oh, your life is going to change, so it's going to be different now for you. They say these things, and sometimes they don't know that what they're representing is they're planting seeds of doubt, and they're planting seeds of negativity, and they don't even know it. And I'm not saying be everybody's yes man and everybody's yes girl. We need those people around us that help us think critically about things. That's why I said when you're building with people, you're not going to always agree. But that does not mean somebody is causing dissension in the plan itself. In whatever you're actually building, that's different. And these things, remember, their resistance, they are built to cause you to put down or entice you to put completely down or just put your efforts somewhere else, thus changing the picture. So these are things that we need to think of. These are those people, we can just say off the bat, they're not called for this. They're not called for this season. They're not called for this project, this assignment, in this arena, this area. Forever, who knows? But for what I'm doing right now, they're not called for this. Remember, God can use resistance. The resistance of the wolves. The resistance of the wolves to strengthen us, to develop us, to cause us to have endurance. But he's not asking us to build with wolves. He's just using what they bring. The difficulty. Because those things help develop us. We look back and we're like, man, I made it through some things. That's because it was developing you and you're stronger. But I don't want you to build with a wolf. No. You guys don't have the same mission. The wolf wants to eat you. If you're a sheep, the wolf wants to eat you. You don't want to get eaten by the wolf. So therefore, you guys do not have the same mission. Please don't build with wolves. Do not. Recognize them for what they are. Remember, I'm not calling people wolves. I personally, Haja did not call somebody wolf that you heard of. I am just saying that what they represent for this assignment, for whatever you're doing, they are representing a wolf. They are planting bad seeds. They are not, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, they're not in the purpose of what this is for. They're not who you should be aligned with in purpose for this. Here's the next part of that. I'm going to dig into a little bit about that purpose thing. There are people, okay, so those are people we know, right? People we know, but we got to distinguish. Okay, ones that are bringing resistance, and where's this resistance coming from? How's it making us feel? We still trying to do what we're doing? Okay. Now, what about those people that just show up? Hey, oh my gosh, I'm doing the same thing that you're doing. Let's partner. I just love the way you do this. Oh my gosh, you are so smart. I'm not saying don't compliment people, and I'm not saying don't take compliments. I'm saying, remember, we're auditioning, we're interviewing who's on our team. So we don't take everything that everybody says and run with it and say, they're for me. No. Remember, bringing everything under submission of God, of the Holy Spirit, of his leading. Every thought, every action, everything that somebody gives you, you're bringing it under submission. What does this look like? Does this align? That's what that means. So they show up. We got some people that's showing up. Everybody got pop-ups. Everybody has pop-ups. People go pop up out of nowhere. Or either and when they do, they're like, nobody shows up and like, trying to move with you, and they're not acting like they want to move with you, So they're going to say they're called to work with you, Oh my gosh, like this is perfect. Look at how this works and how this just, met up. And sometimes it's real and sometimes it's not. And that's what we're trying to pull back the weeds and see. The times that is true and the times where that is not the truth for this situation. So now you got to ask the question, when these people get pop-ups, okay, where did you come from? Who sent you? Who sent you? Who is that? A friend of mine I saw with a shirt on. I said, who sent you? I need to know your source, your origin. Who sent you? Y'all know what I'm talking about, all the spiritual-minded people out there. But what we're saying is go back to the source, because nobody is going to show up. You're taking roll call. We're having a meeting. I'm just being facetious here. But you got people lined out that okay, these are potentials. Okay. Nobody's going to show up saying they're here, they're not going where you're going. They're not doing what you're doing. Everybody's going to say that. Everybody's going to say, oh my gosh, yes. You're not going to look out and say, oh my gosh, who's not going where I'm going? Of the people who are trying to go where you're going, and somebody's like, oh me, I'm not going. Let me get off this train. No, they're going to sit tight and they're going to be like, yeah, of course I'm going. Now, some of these people are going to be the ones that are going to cause you trouble later. So that's why I'm saying, pay attention. Pay attention to some of these things we're going through. Pay attention to what we're talking about right now. Because some of these people will absolutely look like they are for this assignment. And when they get on that assignment, they will be hell. I'm just saying. They will be causing all kind of issues, all kind of problems. That's because they were never meant to be there. But we had to find out. We had to do some work ahead of time to find out. So we're talking about source. Where are they coming from? Let's look at Nehemiah one more time because this is a good lesson for us. And Nehemiah talks about where are they from, where their origin. Nehemiah 2, chapter 2, verses 19 through 20. It says, when Sanballat and the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite official and Geshem the Arab heard of it. So I'm talking about where people are from. Horonites, Ammonites, Arab. They laughed at us and despised us and said, what is this thing that you are doing? Will you rebel against the king? They're talking about the building. When they heard about the work and the work that was going on, these three individuals laughed and despised us. They said, what are you doing? That's what I mean, those people. You know, what is it that you think you're doing? Really? So you're just going to rebel against the king? Nobody said that. Where'd you get that from? Oh, now you're putting words in my mouth. Now you're lying. Clues. So I answered him and I said, this is Nehemiah, the God of heaven himself will prosper us. Therefore we, his servants, will arise and build. But you have no heritage, no right, or no memorial in Jerusalem. We're talking about who are these people that are here in Jerusalem? They look like they could be good builders, but we got to dig a little deeper. What's their origin? I'm not talking about people who are from different countries. I'm not talking about people who are from different places. I mean, none of them were of the same origin. And that's what Nehemiah is talking about here. You have no heritage, no right, and no memorial in Jerusalem. These are people that did not share in the love, they didn't share in the concern, and they didn't share in the struggle of the people of Jerusalem. So yeah, you didn't have to be from there, but you didn't even share in the love. You weren't even really concerned. Remember at the beginning, they're like, who is this person that came to seek the well-being of these people? You don't even have concern. You're not in the struggle. You're not of this. They're not of the same source. They didn't share in the suffering of the place. They didn't share in the angst of the burden of that place of Jerusalem. And they didn't even share in what was compelling everyone to seek deliverance. They didn't share in any of that. So in other words, they didn't have the heart for that thing. They weren't of what he was of. That's an identifier, God. Guys, they're not of what you're of. They're not for what you're for. They're not made of. This isn't the thing for them. This isn't their purpose. I've heard that before, and this made me call this out because if you recall, they weren't of you. And I just remembered that's in 1 John 2:19. It says, really? Right when I was about to start reading. Where is it? Went back up. So basically they're saying they are not of you. They went out from us. 1 John 2:19. They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would have continued with us. But they went out that it might made manifest, known, that none of them were of us. If they were for this purpose, if they were for you, if they were of this thing that you're building, they would remain. They would remain. When people walk out, when people show their selves as what they really are, believe them. They're not of you. They're not of this purpose in which you are of in this time, in this season of your life. And so they can't remain. It reminds me of the story of Ruth in the book of Ruth. Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah. Naomi and her two daughter-in-laws, Ruth and Orpah. And as the story goes, Naomi, had a husband. They moved out, to another city, Moab, I believe. And her two sons, she had two sons, took wives. Then her husband died. Then her one son died. Then another son died. 3 women, no man. Probably living in one house. Ruth was real down. She's like, I'm going back home. My mission has changed. Something's changed. Everything's changed. I'm on a new road. I'm on a new path. I'm on a new purpose. I don't even know what it is, but it's not this. And I'm going forward. And her two daughter-in-laws, Ruth and Orpah, had the option of going with Naomi, or going back to where they were from. Orpah decided, my life has changed. I don't have my hubby no more. I gotta find a new man. Things are different. This leg of the journey is going to be different for me. So I can't go with you, Ruth. Your mission is not my mission. You can't even really tell me what it is, but I can tell you what mine is. And so Orpah left. They hit that crossroads. And Orpah left. And Ruth stayed with Naomi. Ruth stayed with Naomi. And she said, whatever it is you're doing, whatever your purpose is, that's where I am right now. Whatever it looks like. I don't even know fully what my thing is. But inside I know that whatever it is you're doing, so am I. You're my mentor. You're my mother figure. You're my guide. We've done this thing together, and I know that we are made to journey together. So that means whatever I'm going to learn on this leg of this lesson, I'm going to learn it because I'm staying in alignment with you. That just shows us somebody that is purposed and someone that is not purposed. And sometimes it's so difficult to tell, but we got to read between the lines. We got to see things for what they are. And we've got to know, as God tells me all the time, when this season is up, I got something else for you, Haja. The season is up. They knew. And they parted ways. And that wasn't an easy thing, you guys. To recognize that, and then to follow through with that, and to depart the places you're not supposed to be, or allow those to depart from where they're not supposed to be. It's not always an easy thing, but it's necessary, because we have to be aligned in purpose. And if we are not, we will get down this road and realize I've been traveling down this road with you and I hate it. Or I've been traveling down this road with you, and this isn't where I'm called to be. I'm miserable. I'm being pulled in another direction. Can't figure out why you feel unsettled. You weren't of this. They weren't of this. So anyway, that's the lesson on resistance, and on a few tips on trying to identify those who are meant to build in this season, on this ground, on this assignment, in this part of your life with you. There's got to be some purpose there. So we got to ask ourselves some questions. We're going to recap with some of this, and it's just going to take us deeper. So think about some of these questions. You can write them down, and just in your quiet time, think about some of these questions. Once again, in this season, in this area, for this purpose, who are those that are sent and prepared? They've been sent, but they've been prepared. God's not going to send you somewhere that he hasn't prepared you for. He's not going to send somebody to you that is not prepared. I'm not saying they're perfect, and I'm not saying you are perfect. But you're prepared to build and to hold and to manage and to grow this thing that he's put in your hands, or y'all's hands. And then who are those that are not? We got to look at Nehemiah, how God showed Nehemiah. It's not always about who we like and who we don't like, who has been there and who hasn't been there. There's another part of the story where later on he's building, and these same guys, this little trio, really the main two, they just keep getting on his nerves, and they start sending warnings to, Nehemiah, sending letters. Come down from that wall, stop building, because we're about to start lying on you. Then they send in a friend, an old acquaintance. Oh my gosh, like they after you. We're trying to negotiate so that they don't get you. Come down, let's meet over here, let's hide you. And Nehemiah's like, didn't I tell y'all I'm not gonna stop building? Sometimes you have to tell people that. Sometimes, and in this process, you will have to say this, and you might have to say it just like that. I'm not about to stop. I'm not stopping. No. No, but seriously, sometimes it has to, you're gonna have to say it like over and over, because they will try you. But you know what you're doing. So once again, you might use some people that's like, yeah, but they were my friend. Not for this. Okay, and then who's been there, who hasn't? Again, who's called to this purpose? Who has this purpose already in their hands? That's a good one. Because this is the same thing that kind of lets you know those that pop up. And sometimes those who you've been building with. But those that pop up, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing the same thing you're doing. Let's just partner. Let's just do this. Baby, I don't know where you're really going with this thing. It looks similar. Or, I'm doing what you're doing. Okay, well, what you doing? Let me see your stuff. Oh, I haven't really done anything at all. I just, yeah. You just wanted to go with me on this journey, and it's like, but you're not even, you don't even have anything in your hands. It's wasn't your thing. Stop it, people. They just gather. Oh, that's what I wrote in here. Sometimes they just start gathering stuff up to look like they're gathering with you. Look, oh my gosh, look. See, I am going with you. I got all this stuff. You just picked that up right there. Like, this is just stuff. No, you can't go with me. Have a seat. No. Do the puzzle pieces that they naturally fit, that they're holding, naturally fit on your puzzle board? Now we're going to puzzles. God talks to me about this all the time. It's your puzzle. It's your design. The pieces that they're holding, do they fit somewhere on your board? Or are they in place of resistance? Are you trying to fit the piece in there? You know how puzzles, y'all 80s and 70s and maybe 90s, I don't know, kids or whatever. People who've done puzzles, and as kids, we did a lot of puzzles. My generation. And you know how you be trying to get that puzzle piece to fit in there? You're like, if it could only, just, you be like bending it back a little bit, squeezing it down in there, and then it kind of pops. Like, it doesn't lay flat, it kind of go like this because the piece really doesn't fit in there, but it looks like it should. And of all the pieces that you have here, is like, I can make this work. I believe this is it. And you like, if it did fit, if it was the piece, it would just fit. It would just fit. So, are you trying to fit pieces that just look similar into your board? We already talked about the new people popping up in your life. Have you asked yourself the question, who are they? Who are you? Who are they really? You can ask God that. God, show me, who is this person really? Show me their heart. Are they an addition, or are they a subtraction to what I'm doing? Do they bring resistance? And in what form? A challenge? Challenges aren't bad. Or is it a restriction? Is it a halt? Does it stop you? Does what they are, is what they're doing, is it similar to what you're doing? But in order to make that puzzle piece fit, you've got to not just try to make that piece fit, you got to realign your board. Then I can get it to fit in. All you got to do is just move some things around, reconfigure. Just turn some things around, and bam, it's just everything, boom, boom, bada bing, bada boom. Everything's in place, right? But now you don't have the same picture. Your purpose has changed. You have changed the blueprint. You have changed what God gave you. You've changed it because you wanted something to fit. They are not of this. And so they are a hindrance. I want you to see this. It is not that person. It is the purpose that they carry or don't carry. If it doesn't fit, then it's a hindrance to this picture, to this mission, and to this assignment. So let's focus on the things that do fit, because there are those that do fit. Yay, we just been talking about all the people who don't fit, but there are people who fit. And they're not always the same, because you don't want the same. You can't have a puzzle board of the same piece. Doesn't put the picture together, but they gotta be complementary so that they fit together. The pieces, the pieces that belong to the picture, just remember that, and not a similar picture. Not a picture that, well, it was supposed to be this, but now it's just gonna be a little bit different, and but it's okay because we got that to fit. Don't change your picture. Don't change your picture. They've got to be of the same. So that's it. That's the lesson on who you're building with. I hope these tips have been helpful. I hope that you're able to use them and take them with you and on this journey of whatever you're building. Don't stop. Almost want to say get it, but I'll be right. Don't stop. Keep going. Don't stop. Keep going. You might only have one person, two people that you're building with right now. It's fine. You don't need a team of 10. When you do need your team of 10, they'll show up. And make sure you take them through the screening process that God is taking you through right now to find out who are you building with. All right, guys. So that is it. I'm all done. I hope that this was helpful. Happy holidays once again to everybody. Merry Christmas. Got my candy cane dress on. Yes, because it's the holidays. And I love you guys. I'm wishing you so much encouragement in what you're building. I'm saying don't give up so many times because it is so easy just to give up. It is so easy just to say, I don't want to do this. This resistance hits. It's hard. You got people that are leaving your space. You got people who it's just, it can become a lot, in the midst of that, you're building things from the ground. You're starting from the ground. You're rebuilding and you're re-putting yourself together and you're re-putting this image together or creating this image. And it can be a lot. Take your time. Why are all these music references coming to my head? That's just how I am. Take your time and keep building. I'm going to say you can do it. Take your time, do it right. Y'all know that. Baby, we can do it. Take your time, do it right. But so you guys just keep building. All right. And I will see you guys, if God says the same, in the new year. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. See y'all later.